Hello, everyone. Yes, you read the title correctly. I'm not joking around about it anymore. I'm finally doing a tutorial on how I make my mashups. Reason being, today, or rather the day I'm uploading this, is actually the 10-year anniversary of the very first mashup I ever posted. Time sure does fly, doesn't it? So yes, this tutorial may seem just a little late, but believe it or not, throughout the years, my methods of mixing songs have actually changed quite a bit. So I personally think I picked a pretty good time to show how I get these done much more efficiently than before. So because there are quite a few things involved with making a mashup, this video will be split into 3 different sections: pitches, tempo and speed, and then I suppose miscellaneous stuff such as songs with different beats. Now, first of all, please keep in mind that I'm no expert in explaining this type of stuff. In fact, that's the whole reason I put off making these types of videos for so long. I legitimately did not know how to explain how it works. That being said, I apologize in advance if any of this makes you even more confused, but I do hope this can help some people. Second thing to keep in mind is remember that this is simply from my own personal experience. Different people have different methods in making their own mashups, and that's perfectly fine, nothing wrong with that. But anyway, right now I'm just going to try to show things off to the best of my ability and see where things go from there. So we're going to start off with already probably the hardest part for some people, and that's pitches. Whenever I make a mashup, for me personally, I always have to start with the pitches. Of course, it's not required to do the pitches first. If you want to do the tempo first, go right ahead. Like I said, everyone has their own different methods. But I always start with the pitches personally because that way the two songs can already sound decent together when I'm syncing them up. And otherwise I'm very triggered and that's not fun. Anyway, pitches are something that honestly come pretty natural to me. I can listen to a song and almost immediately go like, oh, okay, that's C minor, or that's D major, or whatever. And this isn't because I have some crazy musical background or anything, it's mainly because I happened to take piano lessons as a kid, and through that I managed to memorize the different names of each key and how they sound pitch-wise. So to start off, I'll just go right out and say that I honestly don't trust any online programs that detect pitches for songs. More often than not, when I've tested them out, they were just not accurate, which is why I have at least 2 different options to show you guys, although obviously they'll take a bit more work and thinking rather than just using some program that detects them automatically. And my options may not work perfectly, and not everyone may get the same result from them, but I think they're just a good way to just experiment around and play with all sorts of different pitches and how they sound. So first off, my first option here is there's this playlist on YouTube called the Perfect Pitch series, and as you can see, each video plays a different pitch. I also downloaded these very recently, aka earlier today before I recorded this, and I added it to the folder where I have video game songs in my own version, so you can also download these for yourself. I've never had to use these so much myself unless there was a time where a song didn't have a perfect pitch and it was kind of like stuck in the middle between 2 pitches. It's rare, but it happens sometimes, and so I had to use one of these to fix the pitch of a song. But I've never really had to use these to detect the pitch before. But anyway, you can go on to Audacity, or whatever. Audacity is the program in which I use my mashups. In case you didn't know, I probably should have mentioned that in the beginning. But you can use Audacity or something, and you can... one method I think could possibly help would be to play one of the songs you want to mix with and then play one of these pitches at the same time as that song. That way you can see if they sound well together or not, and you can try the different ones. And so that's one of the options I have. Another one of the options I have is this piano app here. I have Windows 10, so if you're curious what this app is called, it's just called Piano 10, nothing really special. But I like this one in particular because first off, the keys are labeled and everything, so you don't have to memorize what pitch sounds like what, like I did. Also, unlike a bunch of interactive pianos I find online, this one also has the option of playing major and minor chords. So if you just clicked on auto chords here, if you have this app, there's major and there's minor. I just ignore all these other ones here because all these things I don't even know what all those things are. Like I said, I'm not a musically gifted person that knows all this stuff. But as you can see, this pretty much works like a normal piano, just play keys. This option may actually be a bit easier than this one, depending on how you look at things. Because while you play a song that you want to use in a mashup or whatever, you can just hit the different keys to see like, does it sound like D? Does it sound like G? And so on. So once you've figured out your song's main key, or at least something that's close enough to the main key, the next step would be to figure out whether that key is major or minor. I'm sure there's plenty of videos online that show the difference between major and minor chords, but I'll show here as well because this gives the option. So let's go to major, and we'll see what C major sounds like. Pretty simple there. And then we'll hear what C minor sounds like. So as you can see, there's a slight difference there. The way I like to think about it is that major songs usually sound a bit more happy, whereas minor songs sound a bit more serious. For extra reassurance, I'll give an example on how a major and minor song would sound like at the same key. For example, a C major song versus a C minor song. So, first song that comes to mind personally when I think of C major is mainly the Spyro 2 Homeworld songs, particularly Summer Forest. We'll listen to that. You can see it's C, but you can see that's mostly C major. Whereas, if you were to try C minor, it just wouldn't sound as well. Yeah. But that would be an example of a C major song, whereas first song that comes to mind when I think of C minor is the Cortex part of Classroom Chaos from Crush to Insanity. Whereas let's see what C major sounds like with that. Like it kind of works, but it doesn't at the same time, whereas this. That's a bit better. Anyway, that's an example of the difference between a major and minor song of the same key. So if you thought that right there was a bit difficult to figure out, then I have some bad news for you because we're not done there. There's a bit more I want to talk about pitch-wise, and this is where it gets just a bit more difficult. I'm going to be going over a question that some people may or may not have when they're mixing songs, and that's, can you mix a major key song with a minor key song? And the answer I have for that is yes. I've done that quite a few times, actually. And this is why I couldn't really make a tutorial video back when I was first starting out, because major key, minor keys, I didn't really care at that time and didn't fully understand it, but I do now at least. And so yes, you can mix a major key song with a minor key song, but I wouldn't recommend it being the same key. For example, what we just witnessed there. I wouldn't recommend mixing a C major key with a C minor key song. So then, how do you do it? How do you mix major with minor? The trick is, if you take the main key, which is I gotta turn off chords, which you take C, and say you're mixing a C major song with something. So C major was C major. And say you want to mix a C major song with a song that's primarily a minor chord. The trick is you take that C major song, you take the main key, which is C, and then you go backwards 3 steps. And we're on A. And that would be the key you want to put your minor song to, A minor. And that would be the A minor key. And if you look really closely, you can see why A minor is the minor equivalent to C major. Because if you recall with C major was C, E, and G, whereas A minor is A, C, and E. It shares those 2 same chords. So yeah, that may be a bit confusing, but I'll give another example. So if you want to mix a G major song with something, this is what G major sounds like. You would take that primary key, which was G, go backwards 3. We land on E. And so E minor would be the minor equivalent to G major. And you can see it shares those 2 same notes. So that's basically how major key and minor key songs can work. So, good news, that's pretty much all I have to say about major and minor chords. Bad news, we're still not done with pitches yet. We're just going to be talking about normal keys, no chords. And so another question that some people may have is, can a minor key work with a different minor key? And same thing with major. Can a major key work with a different major key? And the answer to that is also yes. And that was something that I didn't really know about when I was starting out with mashups, which is why in certain mashups of mine, you can hear me stretching pitches to certain songs that just made them sound unnatural and, let's be honest, really bad. And so, like if you want to mix a song that's C, whether it's C minor or major, we're done talking about chords, we don't care. A song that's C. But the song you want to mix it with is pretty far down the line, and let's say it was like F sharp. I'm pretty sure you wouldn't want to take your song that's C and then raise it all the way up to F sharp. That would not really sound good. And same way backwards. You wouldn't want to take your C song and mix it all the way down to F sharp. That would not sound well either. So you gotta kind of work with what you got and figure out what keys sound good together. So this also takes some memorization. You want to take that key and you want to go exactly 5 steps down or up. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You got G. And so G is a key that can also work with C. But if you want another option, you can go up 5 steps, and that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So that gives you 2 options to work with. The C key can work with either G or F. So that gives you 2 options right off the bat. You can either take the song that's F sharp and put it up to G to match with C, or you could put the F sharp down to F to match with C. Either way works perfectly fine. But you can also have 2 other options, because we just looked at the song that was C. Let's look at the song that's F. Let's go up 5 steps. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We got B. So F sharp can work with B. Then take F sharp, go down 5 steps. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. F sharp can also work with C sharp. So that gives 2 other options to make your mashup. You can take the song that's C and put it up to C sharp to match with the F sharp song. Or you could take the C and put it down to B. That can also mash up with the F sharp song. So quite a few things to memorize there, but that gives you 4 options to work out. You can just pick one of those, see what sounds best to you, because more often than not, it does work out pretty well, even if they're not the exact same key. The only thing to really remember about this rule, what I call like the 5-step rule, is that with your C song and your F sharp song, both songs have to be major or minor. You can't mix a C major song with an F sharp minor song. That's gonna throw the whole thing out of whack, and that's probably not gonna sound well. So both songs have to be either minor or major. That's the main rule there. Alright, so that being said, we are finally done with pitches. We can finally move on to the next step. And the next step is changing the tempo and or speed of a song, because there is a significant difference between these 2 options, believe it or not. I'll be starting out with talking about the change tempo option because that's the easiest one by far. So obviously, when you make a mashup, before you start changing the tempo of one song to match the other, it helps to know the BPMs, aka the beats per minute of the 2 songs. That way you know which one you're going to be changing primarily. Fun fact, back when I was first starting mixes, I had no knowledge of any of this BPM stuff. So I would literally just type in random stuff in this bar or whatever and hope for the best. And sure, I got away with it back then, as you can see, but I gotta tell you, that process would obviously get very, very tedious. And so I am so glad that I found programs in order to detect the BPM of a song, because that was a major lifesaver. So most people already know this, but for those who don't know, I use 2 programs in order to detect the BPM of a song. First one being Mixmeister BPM Analyzer. It's definitely useful. I definitely recommend using it. It's free to download and everything, so I'll leave a link in the description for it. But basically, you just take a song, any song. I'll take this song from here, which was Classroom Chaos Cortex, drag it into there. Approximately 110 BPM. I usually round it up to that. However, there can be times where this program doesn't really work well with certain songs and it doesn't give you a correct BPM. And whenever you suspect that it's giving you the wrong BPM for a song, that's where I have the second option here, which is the tap for BPM option. Again, very simple to use. You just simply put your cursor there, you type a random key to the beat of the song. In fact, I'll give an example. I'll start playing this one and see if I get approximately what this is telling me. Yep, as you can see, it's pretty much around the same thing. So that option is also really useful. However, I do actually have a third option, and this one I actually discovered fairly recently. In the event where you're not satisfied by what this is giving you and what this is giving you, and you want to get right down to the nitty-gritty of things and get the exact perfect BPM, I have the option for you, and it's right here on Audacity. First, you would go to the Generate option, and then you shall go to Rhythm Track. And there you'll see a whole bunch of options, but you don't have to worry about every single one. I only worry about these two right here, and that's the BPM, and this is what type of beat the song is, which we'll learn more about that later. This is a 4-beat song, so we can leave that alone. And as for this, we'll put in the BPM of what we believe the song to be, your rough estimate, which I'm just going to round it up and say 110. Whoops, 110. You click OK. And I made a mistake because I accidentally had the entire track selected when I did that. You're supposed to click off of the track and then do that. That's how it should be. And so, you're going to want to go to where you believe the track starts. And then I recommend holding down Control and pressing I. So you got this little thing there. That's where you think the track starts. And then select this track and use this option, and you can move this so that this starts, and it should stop where you put your line there. And so both tracks start at the same time. So it seems like this was right, and this song is actually 110. That looks pretty much right, but yes, this is the third option, and I have to say, this has helped me out immensely, and so I hope it helps out a lot of other people too, when finding the correct BPM for a song. Anyways, so once you have your BPMs figured out for sure, then using the change tempo option should really be a piece of cake. You literally just put in your BPM there, and then you put in a BPM of a song you want to change it to, and boom, it's that simple. So then, we're going to get into the change speed option. We're going to get a bit complicated again because change speed is significantly different from change tempo. If you look at change tempo, it's change tempo without changing pitch. Whereas the change speed is change speed affecting both tempo and pitch. So you want to be very precise when you're using this option. So word of advice, only consider using the change speed option if you want to change both the pitch and the tempo to a song at the same time. Otherwise, it's pretty much useless. You won't really need it. But in the event that you do need it, I'm going to show an example on how things would work. But it's going to get a bit complicated. There's going to be some memorization involved. So you got to work with me here. Alright, so I'm going to be using one of my previous mixes as an example. We got Bloody Marie and we got Megalovania because everybody loves Megalovania. Am I right, people? Haha. Anyway, we'll put Megalovania there. And Megalovania is D, whereas Bloody Marie is A sharp. Megalovania is the faster song at the higher pitch, whereas this is the slower song at the lower pitch. So what I did for this particular mix was I slowed Megalovania down to match the pitch and the tempo of Bloody Marie. So let's look at what we got in the change speed option here. You're probably wondering, well, this song is D, how do I know the exact number to put in here to make it slow down enough for A sharp? And that's where you don't use the change speed option right away, actually. In fact, you go to change pitch. But you're not actually going to change the pitch. You're just going to see what information it gives you when you put certain stuff in. For example, D down to A sharp. That's up, not down. This is down. This is the number. This is the percent change. And you're going to want to remember this number, whether it be copying it or memorizing it in your head. But that's the number you want to memorize. Then you go to the change speed option and you put in the percent change. Click on that. And now Megalovania should be from D down to A sharp. Sounds significantly slower. But now you're probably wondering, but wait, it's slowed down now. How do you know the tempo of it now? And that's where you go to the change tempo option and make sure you remember that number that you copied down earlier, because this song used to be previously 120 BPM. If you paste that number into here, this is the new BPM of Megalovania now. Now it is now this. And so you don't need to worry about this number anymore. Now you need to worry about this number. Copy it, memorize it, whatever. Then you want to add in your second song. Now Megalovania is still a bit faster than Bloody Marie, even with its new BPM. So then what I did here was I took Bloody Marie, went to the change tempo option. This is 82.5. 82.5. And then in here, I put in the new tempo to Megalovania. Do that. And then now they should be both the same BPM. I'd play it, but yeah, I already have a much better version uploaded onto my channel. And this was the process that I pretty much did using the change speed option to make the mashup work. So, yeah, as you can see, things got a bit complicated there. I've gotten to the point where I pretty much already have this memorized, so it's nothing to me. But to someone who's trying it out for the first time, I can imagine how it'd be very difficult. So once again, I apologize if I totally lost you there and you got totally confused. But I'll show one more example of how I use this change speed option. So here we have something that's a bit more mild compared to what sort of thing I did last time. We got two Undertale songs here, Another Medium and Death by Glamour. Another Medium is D sharp, whereas Death by Glamour is E. So the pitches are very close. If I wanted to take the easy route, I could just take Death by Glamour, put it from E down to D sharp using the change pitch option, change the tempo from Another Medium from 130 to 148, and sync them up and call it a day. But if I wanted to take a different route, I could take Death by Glamour, I could slow it down just a bit. So by using change pitch, we got E down to D sharp, and that's -5.613. Copy that number, don't actually change the pitch, go to the change speed option, put that number in, and now Death by Glamour is slightly slower and now at the same pitch of Another Medium. If we want to figure out Death by Glamour's new tempo based on what we did, then that's Death by Glamour's normal tempo before we changed it. Put in the number that you copied, or whatever, that one. And this is the new BPM of Death by Glamour now. And now I want to copy that number. Go to Another Medium, go to the change tempo option. It's normally 130. Put it from here, the new thing. And now they both should be the same BPM and the same pitch, and everything should be well there. So I think you can understand now why I very much prefer the change tempo option over the change speed option. It's definitely a lot less complicated and everything, So once again, I'd only recommend using the change speed option unless you feel it's absolutely necessary to get a mix just right. Other than that, I feel like you can go on just fine using the change tempo and change pitch option individually. So yeah, only use that if you really feel like you understand how it works and everything. So yeah, I think that pretty much sums up what I want to explain about the change tempo and change speed option. So we're on to the last part of the video and probably one of the easiest parts, and that's figuring out the different beats of songs. So what I have here is a pretty simple example on the difference between a 4-beat song and a 3-beat song. In this case, I have a 4-beat song, and then that 4-beat song I modified into a 3-beat song. So here we have Gaster's theme from Undertale. You can see that it's a 4-beat song if you count along with the rhythm. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, and so on. And I took that same song and I modified it into a 3-beat song. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. So that's a simple difference between a 4-beat song and a 3-beat song. I'll give a couple more examples. Here I got some more examples of 3-beat songs. Yes, more Undertale songs, because Undertale songs have a lot of 3-beat songs. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. And then we have Heartache, which is also known as a 3-beat song. It's a faster one. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Pretty simple. Now we're going to get into the more complicated beat songs, such as like a 5-beat or a 7-beat. An example of a 5-beat song is Here We Are from Undertale. Listen very closely. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It definitely took me quite some time before I realized how different beat songs work. And this is an example of Here We Are, but I modified it so that it's 4-beat. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. And so on. And now I'll show you the difference between a 7-beat song and a 4-beat song. And here we have Agent 9's Lab from Spyro 3, which is probably the first 7-beat song I ever heard. This is also where the generate rhythm track could also be in handy. So this is 107, and it is a 7-beat song. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yeah, it can get pretty complicated, but that's why I made it into a 4-beat song, or technically 8-beat song. 4 goes into 8, whatever. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Definitely a lot less complicated there. So I showed you 3-beat songs, 4-beat songs, 5-beat songs, 7-beat songs. There are other beat songs that are also very, very rare. In fact, I know of an 11-beat song. I've known even crazier songs than that. That's just insane. And then you have your swing beat songs. So when it comes to the difference between swing beat songs and normal or straight beat songs, this is basically the difference. This is how a swing beat song is supposed to sound. Whereas this is, your normal average straight beat. Now what happens when you put them together? It sounds kind of cluttered, right? That's why I would not recommend mashupping a swing beat song with a straight beat song. I've done it once before. that's an example of something that you probably shouldn't do while mixing because it just doesn't turn out well. Anyway, straight beat songs are pretty much a dime a dozen, so I'm going to go ahead and show a couple more examples of swing beat songs. First, we got Dark Hollow from Spiral 1. We got Bonsai Bonsai from Crash Throughout the Cortex. We got Clash from Just Shapes and Beats. And those all are around pretty much the same tempo, so you can get the gist of that. But there are also like faster swing beat songs. Once you get into the faster swing beat songs, that's where it can get a bit finicky to where sometimes, I guess, you can make them work with regular straight beat songs. Rumble in the Rocks is a good example of that. I've mixed it with straight beat songs before, but it has like a slight swinging sound to it. We also got a slightly faster swing beat song, Arctic Antics from Throughout the Cortex. But anyway, I think you get the gist of what I mean when it comes to swing beat songs. So with all that being said, this is pretty much the end of my tutorial video. I hope these tips have helped out anyone who's interested in making mashups, or even helped fellow mashuppers have a better understanding of how I view things. Again, I'm not the best at explaining things, so I'm sorry if anyone got super confused. And I'm also sorry if you wanted to see me go more in-depth and actually create a mashup. But if you search around on my channel, occasionally I've done mashup streams with Bufo's mixes, and that's where you'll really see us both make our own mashups and such. Anyway, I really hope you enjoyed this video, and I still can't believe it's already been 10 years since my very first mashup. Wow. I feel like the occasion definitely deserved something special, and this was really the best thing I could think of since I know so many people wanted it over the years. With all that out of the way, I hope you all have a good day, and goodbye!